Hey AfterBuzzers, today I am in studio with Andrew Bowen. We will be talking about his latest feature, A Boy Called Poe. We'll be talking about so many other things, lots of movies, and his background as a stripper. I kid you not. Don't go away.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Yes. That's the stripper dance move right there.
Okay, good.
It's all the hips, and then you gotta work it like that.
And
yeah,
anyone who's listening right now instead of watching is sorely disappointed.
Yeah. Sorry. That was a obnoxious dance move.
We will have to describe it. Hey everyone, I am Zoe Hewitt. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @RealZoeHewitt. And sitting directly to my left is Andrew Bowen. Andrew,
Zoe.
hello. I like the wave too. Where can everyone find you?
On Twitter and Instagram, it's at Andrew S. Bowen, like Andrew's Bowen, and then Andrew Bowen on Facebook and Mr. Bowen, I believe, on Snapchat.
Oh, you got very formal.
Mr. Bowen. Mr. Bowen? Is it Mr. Bowen? Yes, I think. I don't know. No one watches me on Snapchat, which is good because I'm ridiculously obnoxious on Snapchat because I know no one's watching, so I'm like, woo! Anyways, that is probably going to change right now. I shouldn't have said that. And hi.
Too bad there is no rewind on live. But, you know, we've got lots of good things coming up. You have lots of good things. We've got A Boy Called Poe. It comes out September 1st, and then you guys are hitting the Toronto Film Festival as well in September. Now, it's a really interesting script. What drew you to it thematically?
Well, my friend John Asher, who's the director, I've known for years. We've always been friends, and I have a son. My eldest son has autism, and his son Evan has autism as well. So John has been attached to this project for almost 7 years. It's taken him to get this thing done, and he sent me the script, you know, and he was like, hey, you know, and he'd been always holding off on it, and I was like, why don't you share it? And then he shared it with me, and like I literally had to put it down 3 times because I was crying so much. Not like, it's not like super depressing crying, but just so close to home. And it was just beautiful. And I was just like, dude, I'll grip for you. Like, I'll just be on set. I just want to help you make it. And then he was like, no, I have this role I wrote for you. And it was amazing and incredibly cool experience and a really cool movie. I mean, it's autism is huge, you know. I mean, it's a you know, the fastest growing childhood, you know, epidemic in human history at this point, and it isn't talked about enough, but it also isn't explored, you know, in a way that really doesn't just show sort of the negatives. Like, there's also a lot of magic and love to this thing, you know, and he crafted this just. It's beautiful and it's heartfelt, and at the same point, like, there's no way when you see this movie you will not cheer at the end. It's got that great of an ending, you know. So
yeah. And it feels that way from watching the trailer. And for anyone who's not familiar with it, it is about a young widower who has just lost his wife, and he's raising his son who has autism and navigating those waters.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I noticed just based on the trailer is that it doesn't seem to hit those stereotypes of autism, that it treats it differently, like you're saying, than what we've seen maybe in the past.
Yeah. And Julian Fetter and Christopher Gorham, who plays the father and son, they're phenomenal in this movie. But, you know, I think that we were all connected. You know, we all have a first-hand experience with autism. Chris's son has autism as well. So we all came from this incredibly honest place. I mean, it's still, you know, in the stories, it's based on a true story. So I think that because of that, we just really treated it with care. And I think when it came down to those scenes and those experiences that happen, especially, you know, with the father and son, you know, there's not so much acting involved because literally it's just tapping back and, you know, getting into it. You know, I always give Chris, you know, kudos for getting through it because I was like, I don't know if, like, that's heavy. Like, it's, like, you know, to have to relive those moments. But it does. It really kind of gives you a much better sense of what the day-to-day is. You know, not necessarily like, oh, we're explaining what autism is. It's just day-to-day. And it sort of kind of gives you a glimpse of what that world is like through the eyes of autism.
And the boy Poe sort of retreats into daydreams, right? And you're his character's guide.
Yeah. I play this guide. You know, they made John and the writers made this choice that you know, every kid in autism who has autism, who's on the spectrum, you know, we all do too, but just kind of, you know, zone out a little bit here and there. And they made this decision that when he zones out, he sort of goes to this world of his imagination, where in that world, he's normal. He's totally typical. He's just a regular kid. And that's sort of his way of coping. And it was a really fantastically creative choice. And within that world, he's got this sort of friend named Jack, who I play. Who's sort of his friend and a little bit of his guide, you know, within this world. And every time he goes there, it's something a little different. So I literally I had like 5 things I got to check off the actor bucket list doing this. It was like, you know, I got, you know, it'd be a pirate and a knight and a cowboy and an astronaut. It was just awesome. So, and so it was cool too, because we shot the sequences after they'd finished the movie. Which John wanted to do specifically so that Julian could drop some of the mannerisms that he had, you know, they had worked on for portraying Poe with autism, so he could just be himself, you know, there. And so it was sort of like, it was cool because we got to just sort of play. You know, we got to dive into the bright of all of it, and it was cool. We just like literally went up the coast for like a week, and these amazing locations, and you know, it was a handful of us on the crew, and really cool costumes and swords and stuff. It was awesome.
So, how much fun was it when you saw the script and you saw, oh, I get to be a pirate and a knight and do all these fun things and like putting on the costumes? It
was awesome. Like again, like literally I would have done anything on this movie because I think it's important, and it was really great that, you know, you can make an entertaining narrative off of this material. But it was, I mean, it was like I couldn't, because he was like, I'm working on something. Because he sent me a draft where Jack wasn't really, he was different. I think he was an animal at one point, which is really cheap to do. And he just, he's known me, John's known me for a lot of years. He's a good friend. And so, and he's known like my ability, so to speak, to just sort of be 18 million people at once, which is why I'm constantly on meds. No. And he just played, like he let himself go to that extreme because he knew I'd show up and do it. And so when I got it, I was like, oh my God. And he was like, right, it's pretty awesome. I was like, dude, yes, thank you. So it was a great experience. And it's a role and a part that I will treasure forever, like it really was. And it's really, I feel very honored to be a part of the movie. And it's really great that, you know, a little independent like this can get a chance to be seen by everybody. I mean, that's the big hope when you do, because you don't know when you're doing an indie. I mean, you're like, you're putting your heart and soul into it, but nobody may ever see it. And so, you know, luckily, it won so many awards on the festival circuit, and people really recognized what it is. And I think too, the thing too is like, you know, which is what I want to get across with it is that, you know, it's not the typical just tearjerker. That's not. There's a lot more to the story. There's an incredible amount of comedy in it and humor that you wouldn't expect. And I think that's what makes it really human and identifiable. And it's a really good watch, you know.
And the first time you saw it at a film festival, like up on the big screen there, were you nervous about how the audience would react?
Not for me, for John, because, you know, the director. That's where you're. And it's not like because you're nervous about the product, but it's more like, is the sound going to be right? You know, all that stuff. So I wasn't nervous. I mean, he had let me see an early cut, just because he was like, I can't. You got to see this. John gets very. I love John. His enthusiasm when he makes things. He just gets so excited. He wants to show you. So, but when I got to see it on a big screen, it was cool. I think we were at Paramount, and it was a packed theater, and you know, afterwards it was just seeing everybody's faces, and they were like, wow, you know, that was a hell of a movie. So that was cool. It was very fulfilling to feel like we'd kind of come full circle in, you know, 4 days, 3 days. You know, we'll finally get to. It's sort of now it's just in the world. You know, it's like sort of making movies is sort of like. Having children, like you raise them and you try to treat them right and make sure they make good choices and you know, they're dressed well, or you know, at least they brush their teeth or they've had their braces, and then you put them into the world and they go on their adventure, and you know they're not yours anymore. So now Poe gets to hopefully find a nice, big, beautiful audience that embraces the movie.
And the Toronto Film Festival is a big deal. So will you be going up there too? Will you be keeping your fingers crossed for distribution?
Oh, well, we're already into all that. Like, that's already said. I think it's just a part of, you know, they invited it to be a part of the stuff. So I might go. It depends. I mean, I got a lot of stuff going on, so I'm gonna try. Believe me, I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
I always do, you know. But you know, this industry is very much. It's like being a gypsy. Like you literally don't know. You like literally don't know what's gonna happen in 2 weeks. So. If I'm free, I'm absolutely going to go up. Yeah, you know, because this is the.
And I believe the movie will be out on iTunes and in select theaters, at least before the film festival.
Theaters, VOD, all. It's like across the board. And actually, the platform, the VOD and platform is really rare. It's sort of, you know, within the sort of echelon of having it out there. It's a very rare pocket that we got put into. A lot of big films don't get put into this kind of an opportunity to be seen that wide. So it'll be cool. So it's just, you know,
Fingers crossed for lots of good things.
Fingers crossed. Go see it. Or rent it, or
video on demand.
If it's in your town or whatever, yes, go to the theater. It's definitely worth that. And if not, you know, rent it. And you can even pre-order it now too, which is kind of cool. See, it's trust me, it's worth it. And you'll know, like, believe me. 2 minutes into this movie, watching it, you're gonna go, oh, okay, I'm in. You know.
Yeah, and you can tell from watching the trailer, you can see how good it is, and waiting for that good like payoff moment too. At the end.
Again, it's one of those things too, where, you know, like on that limited budget, I think John did a great job of making this much bigger than it probably should have been. You know? So that's cool.
Speaking of limited budgets and John, you're also working on a project called The 716th, which is with John and limited budget. Do you see how I tied that in?
That's nice. That's nice. Yeah.
And that's totally different sci-fi.
Yeah. It's like,
tell me about that one.
Well, I've been wanting to direct for years, and you know, I write and paint and draw and all that stuff, and you know, about a year ago, I just got this idea, and I've always been a big fan of science fiction and comedy, and, you know, I'm definitely more in the, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn kind of family, and I got this idea, and you know, as a short, and then like, you know, 24 hours later, you know, storyboard and everything, I realized it was a really incredibly cool idea for a television series, so I just shifted gears, made it a proof of concept, and totally had to put John in it. And that was too because John has always put me in his films, and what most people don't know is John's actually a fantastic actor as well. So, and very funny. So, and that was just really important for me because, like, there's energy to this show and fun to this show. And so, yeah, I called him up. I said, you know, you want to come out and play? And he was like, absolutely. So it was cool. And yeah, we just finished it, and now we're just putting all the pieces together in sort of phase 2, and I'm really excited.
And the trailer is available to watch on the website. You've got a great website set up. Now, talk about some of these really cool special effects, because working on a limited budget, you don't always get that, but you've got some cool stuff happening.
We did
in
over 100 effect shots in the proof, which is like 14 minutes, which is basically more or less the second 15 minutes of the pilot. It sort of just throws you right in the middle of it. But yeah, no, I knew for me as a filmmaker, I really wanted to learn the language of VFX because I didn't really know that yet, and I knew it was going to be really important to the storytelling I wanted to be able to do. So for me, this was a great opportunity to sort of learn that. And my friend Jonathan Alvord, that I met at SC years ago, still been friends. He came on as my VFX supervisor, and Dustin Adair, who I've known for a number of years, incredible artist and designer, and this young kid, Joseph Lawson, who's like 17. He's just like a wonderkin. And it was literally the three of us, and you know, 5-6 months of doing work and sort of just to lay the layers, and they were amazing. It's an amazing team. You know, you can't you know, in filmmaking, it's you know, it's collaboration. It's you need other people to be able to pull it off, and I just got very lucky. I'm very lucky, and I have, you know, and I think that was one of those things too that sort of drove it, was that, you know, I was like, I know so many great writers and directors and actors and costume designers and makeup artists, and to be able to create something where they can all get to play and, you know, ideally be able to have a good paycheck. I mean, that's awesome. So, so we just went for it and just been like that you know, race, like a horse race, just blinders on and heading to the end zone. And so far so good. You know, it's we've, you know, I've been very lucky to have some just cool, great people, you know, supportive of it. So it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be a great show.
And it looks fun from the website, and it's a really cool website that you have set up.
Yeah, it's www.the716th.com. So anybody who's listening or watching, you can go and check it out and check out the trailer and stuff. And that's not the actual, you know, the actual film itself is not available yet.
But there's a cool trailer.
Yeah, there's a cool trailer, and so you get a peek of this universe that we're creating for y'all. It'll be awesome.
And there's always, like on film sets or TV sets, there are always surprises that pop up along the way. And I feel like especially so on lower budget things, because you have to do a lot of workarounds. So what were some of the things that came up for you?
Oh God.
Should I say what didn't come up?
I had a very like insanely small budget for this, so I basically had to wear like a million hats, like, you know, write and produce and direct and act, and I had to be the production designer and art director and script supervisor. Like, it was dumb. It was dumb. It was like way too many hats. But you know, I wanted to get it made, so it was a necessity. So you know, it was just, you know, that's what it is. You're just flying at the seat of your pants. That's filmmaking. It's just problem solving. And yeah, there was lots. I mean, I literally remember the second day we're shooting, I got this location, and you know, everybody's showing up, and the facility, it had like, you know, not an outhouse, but like, you know, a place to use the bathroom, and it was not working. So I'm literally 5:30 in the morning, arms up, fixing a toilet with my hands, so that I could have a place for my crew to go while, you know, in costume, and it was nuts. It was nuts. In my Ray Wang, who's my DP on it too. There's a scene where we're drinking like this Ritaculin ale. It's a sci-fi thing, and you know, we got this take where, you know, Doc's character breaks this thing, and we got it, and they're like, let's just do one more. And okay, as actors, like when you're like even doing fight scenes and stuff like that, you know, you practice it out, and then when you get on set, you know, you put that extra piece into it, and you're gonna get hit and a little bump. It's not like you're hurting each other, but you know, stuff happens.
So you hope. And
so I swang and I hit the glass that was holding the liquid, and it shattered, and a piece of glass went into Ray's face, like literally his face. And I'm like, oh my God, bleeding. And he was like, sorry, let's just keep going. So yeah, there was plenty of stuff. There was plenty of stuff. So and I think I had like by day 3 I had like 104 fever or something, and it was just like, you just keep going. It's not like you can quit. So, but yeah, you know, you get through it and just keep going, and you know, God willing, it turns out well. So yeah.
And was it
and hopefully, and I'm looking forward to not having to wear so many hats. That'll be really great. Like the whole idea of having an apartment, I'd be like, what? That'll be awesome.
And was it nice having John on set there as
awesome.
someone who had that experience already as a director?
Yeah.
Did you feel like you could lean on him a little?
Oh, absolutely. Well, it was also, I knew he could do it too. It was like, you know, I think one of the things when you're writing, directing, and acting too, like you need people who can show up and do their job and bring their game, and I knew that John would. And you know, it was also for the characters, for the setup of the show, you know, this team in deep space, you know, that, you know, shouldn't be there. I wanted to have that shorthand, and I knew that with John there too, that would come across without trying to push it. And but no, he was also like, he also just did his job. He showed up as an actor, you know, but it was great to have, you know, someone there who understood the process. So it was like he knew where the camera was and you know what lenses were on him and stuff like that. And I think that ends up being hugely successful and efficient. And you know, again, I've been very lucky to have people like John and around me that are just, you know, honest and give their best and give their opinions too. You know, it's great to have people around you that are honest.
And that's what I was thinking. Yes, honest.
You want that. You want that because, you know, your goal is to make the best product you can. You want to make something that people are going to watch and be like, oh, that was so awesome. And you can't do that by yourself, and you can't do that if you're surrounded by yes people either.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
Yes. I'm like, wow, what do you get? What do you get from that? And not that you want people that be like, that sucks, quit, go into a hole and forget everything. But it's great to have people that can give you those opinions. And I mean, you can use some, you don't use some, but it's for me. That's such a. I'm a team player. I like having a great people to work with because you know it's creativity is magic and everybody's got amazing ideas and that thing that drives them, especially in this industry. I mean, we love what we do, and so you know, even when I'm not directing, if I've been an actor on set, I mean, I've had moments where I've, you know, waiting between a take and just chatting with a grip, and they mentioned something about the scene or that I didn't even. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I was like, use it. So you know, there's ideas everywhere, and you know, if you can create an environment where people feel safe and respected, and that they can be a part of it, which is what I wanted to with this. You know, you can raise the level of it. So it's cool.
And it's neat to get those outside opinions too, because exactly like someone looking in is going to see it differently than being right there.
Yeah, exactly, because you don't see a lot of stuff, you know, or you'll miss things. You know, and sometimes like they'll say it and you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe that I didn't see that. Thank you, and then cut that. So yeah, it's good. And you know, and it's the same thing too. Like you know, with John and people like that too, like that I've worked with. You know, they call me too and ask me for opinions, and I've always just, you know, give them the best that I have. So, you know, because we're all doing it together. We're trying to lift each other up. So, you know, if we can do that, then, you know, if you're not doing that, what's the point? You know, it's none of us individually are that interesting. So,
speak for yourself, please.
Zoe is fantastically interesting.
Thank you. I was just, you know, I'm glad we led into that really nicely.
Yeah, that's nice.
Now,
That's
John
good.
himself actually is kind of interesting because I don't know if we've actually even mentioned his last name. So John Asher, his dad was one of the original I Love Lucy directors, which is pretty cool. So John has done a lot too, but his dad, whoa.
Yeah.
So how did you guys meet originally? Because you've worked together a lot.
Yeah, it was just in the auditioning circuit. We found ourselves, honestly, auditioning. I don't want to say against each other, but for the same roles a lot. Which, if you know John, like we're not the same. Like we look completely different. But you know, we both do comedy, so I sort of saw him through it, and we just sort of ended up, you know, becoming friends, and also like I think I ended up being the one who had him have his son diagnosed. Told him to get diagnosed with autism. My son had it, and it was just one summer, and we had been testing. We were testing for a pilot, and a week earlier, and then we tested for another one the next week, and it got to that point where we'd see each other, and we'd realize, okay, like this is not like a acting thing. Like they totally have no idea what look they want. So we would just be like, you know, and all the pressure would be gone because we're like, if you get it great, if I get it great, and we would just be shooting the shit and talking, and everybody else is studying, and they're like looking at us, and we're laughing, and he had mentioned that that Evan was having like seizures, and he wasn't really sure how, and he was talking through all of it, and I had known through it that can be a sign of autism, and I just said, have you looked at that? Maybe you should, you know, I think that might be it. And you know, again, you know, for people out there that don't understand, you know, finding out that your kid has special needs is traumatic, but finding out is answers. You know, it's good to be able to know. So I ended up, you know, doing that, and him and Jenny at the time went and got him. And 2 weeks later he called and he was like, "Dude, you're right. Evan's got autism." And I was like, "Okay, don't panic. Don't freak out. It's gonna be okay. Let me take you guys to dinner." And Renee, my wife Renee, and I, you know, had this autism A to Z, but like we'd been through it already, so we were able to just say, hey, here it is. This is what we know. This is what's worked for us, and you've got you're not alone out there. So, and I like with all parents and anybody out there, like there's a lot of support. If no matter where you are, if you feel like there's there's no hope, there is. There's a lot of stuff out there, and just you've got to be an advocate. You can't wait for someone else to do it. You've got to be your own advocate and learn it and make your own decisions and drive it that way, because there's things out there that have been really successful. You know, so and it's not a life sentence. It just is. It defines a sort of a personality and who somebody is. But I think the more you know about autism or any kind of a disability, the less scary it is. Because they're all there. Even if they're stuck or they're nonverbal, they're aware of all of it. And so with our son, with Reese, he was in therapy like 8 hours a day at one point, like 5 days a week. But we just kept on. We said we're not gonna just let him. We weren't going to treat him differently than we did his brother or sister, and I think that pushing him and forcing him to get into it like made a difference. So, anyways, that's how. Ooh, that's a tangent off. Like you're like, boy, we're getting serious here, Andrew. Come on, everybody's like tuned out. Oh, it's gonna be a thing about that. Right.
Well, for anyone though, you bring up a good point. This is not specifically about autism, but for anyone who needs help and resources, they are available. Yeah. And incidentally, I actually interviewed for our sister network, Book Circle Online, an autism expert, and I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is making sure that you notice the signs, and then it's very different than it was and what we think of as stereotypes from like 20 years ago.
Way different.
So I feel like it's nice to bring that up because if anyone is listening or watching and that's something that touches them particularly, then I'm glad that we can make that public service announcement.
Public service announcements. And again, like if you follow me or anything on Twitter or any of those Instagram things and have a question, feel free to tweet me, and I'll give you any answers that I can. So.
And speaking of kids, what about I Hate Kids? Moving into comedy, kids. I hate them.
Finally a movie that personified my life. So, with teenagers.
Another John project.
Another John project, yes. It's great. We just shot that. I finished shooting a couple of weeks ago. A really great comedy. Tom Everett Scott is in it. Julian Feder is the young man in it from Poe. And
it's like a family.
It's like a family. John's just like, keep my family together. So I mean, that's what you want to do. So we just shot that. It's really it's cute and fun and very entertaining. It's again, even it's been one of those things cool that you just say I hate kids and people laugh. Right. So we're already have a step ahead there. It's great. Great cast, and it was a really fun experience. And again, John called me up and said, "Hey,
John called you, dropped everything. I'm in."
Well, it's sort of one of those things too, where with John at this point, I'm like, just tell me to show up, and I'm going to show up. Yeah. But he always, it's one of those things he kind of does is he looks and tries to figure out, where. And I feel honored that he feels I'm capable of helping him tell stories. So
well, it's nice to have a relationship like that. And although we do laugh because we think like, of course you should love kids. Tell us about what is the movie actually about, because it's not not like that.
No, it's about a young man who has written a book called I Hate Kids, and he doesn't have kids, and he's sort of that philosophy that you can still have a great life and not have a family. And he's about to get married to a girl who, again, feels the same way. And on the rehearsal dinner, this boy shows up that says, "I'm your son." He was like this, 15-year-old kid, and hijinks go from there.
Hijinks ensue.
It's hijinks ensue. And it's a little bit of like a buddy road thing where they're trying to figure out the mother and father and how that plays into it. And that's, of course, is the dynamic that he wasn't expecting, which, of course, is going to change him a little bit. And I play the husband of the main character's sister. Sorry.
Now that sounds like a family tree.
Yes.
The husband of the sister of the cousin of the first.
Right. Yeah, Ray Seahorn plays my wife in it. She's amazing in it. So good. And so yeah, it's fun. It was fun little event. John's in the editing room right now, so I think he called me the other day and he's like, it's so funny, you're gonna love it. And I was like, all right, cool, great.
You're like,
good. And he's like, tell people about Poe. I'm like, I'm doing it.
Right. Tell people about Poe, but this one is really funny.
Yes.
Poe will make you cry. This will make you laugh.
Yes. Poe will make you laugh too, but yes, this will really make you laugh. Yeah.
Cry in a good way. I meant that in a positive cry.
Yes.
Positive
crying.
cry.
Good crying. Like Game of Thrones is every week. It's just like, I'm crying and I hate this, but I love it. It's like
cry like the Bachelorette.
Like the
right?
Bachelorette.
When she doesn't pick who you want.
Yeah.
I can see you were with me right on that one.
Yeah.
Now, comedy, although you say, right, that's not like where you really, like that's really where you started.
Oh, yeah.
Right, MADtv, and doing impressions, which
Yeah.
I feel like, how do you even start that?
I don't know. Like, I think if you find people that do them, it's just one of those things where you just suddenly kind of pick something up and kind of go with it. It was just, for me, it was like, I was short and fat in junior high and didn't want to get picked on for being short and fat, so I started just being funny, and I just found like if I impersonated, people, like they could make them laugh, and it just sort of went from there. I never thought that I would actually end up doing like a sketch comedy show. I mean, like I was never even trained in it. It was just like, I can do Keanu or these things and make people laugh, and so no. But I mean, I think laughter is the source. It'll always be this little thing that beats my internal narrative, and so it just plays into everything. So it's fun. It's nice. There's really, I think if you're an actor or anything, making someone laugh is really cool. It's nice when you can do that.
It's like that pat on the back, right? I mean, I feel like you can't really get another pat on the back. Like you make them cry, it doesn't feel as good,
right?
No,
it's not as good. No. Like, oh, you made them cry.
Congratulations.
Good job. No. So it's just rewarding, and and especially like when you're working on set too, it's so much fun to just like do a take and they yell cut and the entire crew breaks up laughing. It's like, yes, it's working.
And so some of your like better known impressions, or is it I feel like now I need to back up. I'm saying impression. Is it impression or impersonation? Because I looked up the difference, to be honest, and I was
Thank you,
like,
Zoe, because I didn't know. You're gonna have to break down like what you're supposed to.
It's a fine line. I don't know. So impression, it says, is like if you press a penny in Play-Doh, it just leaves a fine imprint.
Okay.
Versus I think impersonation, which is more taking it on. I don't know. It felt a little unclear to me.
Interesting.
So now I'm not sure what to call these.
Impersonation. I think impersonations, and again, it's more than
impressions. I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I need to correct myself.
Impression is more like, hey, how are you? Did I make a good impression when you met me? Whereas no, we're inhabiting like other people.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. So we get to rewind again. Like at the beginning when you wanted to rewind.
Yes.
I feel like I needed to remind you of that in case you didn't remember like 30 minutes ago.
Rewind.
So let's rewind to those impersonations that you did. So we've got like Brad Pitt, Nicolas Cage, Keanu Reeves, Michael Flatley from Lord of the Dance. Did you get to like bring?
I did. Did I do Flatley? I don't know.
He's
you probably have a better list. Is he? Yeah.
He's listed.
Yeah. I think it was one of the sketches I did. I think it was Flatley because I can dance. So that's
you can.
That's probably went to it. They're like, okay, who can? I was always like, who can dance or smash into something good? They're like, Andrew. So I was always the one who was like doing the physical comedy and dancing and whatever. Yeah, because you can't not make fun of that sort of step.
I love that.
It's kind of cool, especially when they're like super in sync.
Yes, and they're
like
all in a row.
And they're like, what?
Yeah.
Like on it.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
It's so cool.
It's very cool. It's very
so cool. So that's interesting. So you don't go to the writers and say, hey, I can do this impersonation. They come to you and say, hey, we're looking for
Sometimes. I mean, on that show in particular, yeah. It was like a little vice of, we would kind of give them a list of what we could do, and then sometimes it'd be like, oh, okay, who can do this? And we go, oh, I can, or I'll give that person a shot, because you didn't really know. Sometimes that was the fun part, is to go, okay, I'm doing Brad Pitt. Okay, I think I can do Brad, and then you study Brad, and you're like, what is that? And it's and then I haven't done him in so long, but I know that it was like he almost had like this Brooklyn way that he talked, but there's this Southern twang, and for him he like talks with his hands a lot, and it was. And you just sort of find it, and then they give you the lips and the hair, and you're like,
prosthetic lips too?
Yeah. Because he's got a very sexy, Brad's got a very sexy lip.
Is it weird to wear a prosthetic lip? Does that feel uncomfortable? It seems like it would be.
No, I mean, it's, it's there. Yeah,
Like,
I'm trying to recall. It's there, but it's no, it's not that weird. After a while, it might start fraying at the edges, and then you're like, they're like, what are you doing? I think that's how Heath Ledger ended up finding some of his Joker mannerisms. Is that his stuff, his latex was falling a lot, and he kept on licking it, and that became that nuance that he had in his character.
That's funny, and that's so, like, all I can think of is like when I had my wisdom teeth removed and my cheek was swollen. So
and
that's
you had
what I
fine
think.
Vicodin in my system.
Yeah. So that's what I think of, like when you say a lip prosthetic. I think of that puffiness, which is uncomfortable.
It's not. It wasn't uncomfortable. It's just sort of you get used to it. Like, as I had to do prosthetics before, it's you kind of forget it's there. You do when it's end of the day and everybody gets to go home, and you have an hour and a half of them peeling it slowly off of your face. But
which doesn't even sound good.
It's
peeling it off of your face. It sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah. Doug Jones is a friend of mine. He's a saint. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it, because I think he's just got a different part of his brain that clicks. And I'm like, whew, wow. Like, I think he mentioned something about a skin cream the other day that he was using. I'm like, dude, everybody in the world should buy this cream, because believe me, if Doug is saying like it's affected his face, if it's keeping him, beautiful and young, use it.
We all need to be beautiful and young, right? So now, speaking of beautiful and young, one of the really cool things that we teased at the beginning, and which I found on your resume, is that you were a stripper. It says on your resume. It says on your resume under miscellaneous skills, a stripper.
Yeah.
So we've got to find out about that, Mr. Chippendale.
Yes. Here we go. One of my first jobs ever when I was living in New York as a young man, 18-year-old, I got a job as sort of a busboy at Chippendale's. So it wasn't necessarily dancing, though. If you were a busboy, you were still there in the nest.
I don't know, busboy.
Women enjoying themselves.
When you first told this story, you told me off camera it was behind the bar. Now busboy, I don't.
But it was behind the busboy behind the bar. All that. Anyways, yes, it was a short period of time as a young man, and yes, that was a part of it. But
and it made it onto the resume.
And I made it onto the resume. I'm like, yes, because I've seen them and I know how they do it, and so never really.
Never really danced.
No, or really nuded up for camera yet. No, that's not true. Like, no, if anybody wants to know, you can just watch Magic City. I had to be basically in a bathing suit for 6 months. So,
well, we were talking about this on Twitter before the show, and you tweeted out a photo. Now, is that actually where did that photo come from? What is that photo?
I was like, what do you? I had this. I was like, oh my gosh, it was really. I was like, oh, that's a great. You should pull this up.
I'm going to see if I can pull it up.
It was,
and we'll see what we get here.
I think my son.
Try to hold it up.
My wife and son went to Camp Mars like 2 weeks ago, which is 30 Seconds of Mars. They do a camp every year where you can go and stay, and you actually hang out with Jared and Shannon and the whole band for the weekend, and they perform. And yeah, it's really cool. Okay. So he went to that.
Like Mars. Like, it took me
30
a second.
Seconds of Mars.
It took me a second to catch up to that.
Oh my gosh, their new song right now is such an earworm. And they were doing, I think their third night, their theme was 80s hair band. And so I went, because, hey, that's what Dad does, right? Halloween's the best time because I get to build costumes. And I was like, oh, wait. And I kind of put some stuff together, and I was like, hey, if you want to go, you can do this. And I put this thing on, and it was the most obnoxious thing.
I have it. I will try to, I know it's really far away. Sorry, guys. We'll also see if Marissa can get the photo for us off of Twitter. But for anyone who is listening and not watching, it is you with some facial hair. We've got like the Ray-Ban sunglasses, big like blonde Dolly Parton type wig with a dark cowboy hat, and we've got an unbuttoned white
headband underneath.
Black and white photo.
See, there's a headband underneath too. It's very.
I see. Oh, like a bandana.
Like a bandana. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I have the color.
The color version. So you only tweeted the black and white.
Yeah, and I was just like, and my wife was like, here we go. And I'm like, how long is that going to stay on for the day? And I'm like, I don't know. Could be a while. So that'll sort of I went, all right, I'm just gonna have to put that in the back pocket as a character someday.
Yes.
You know, that's the stuff you do as an actor. You know, you'll put stuff together and you go, oh wait. This guy's something. I can pull this out of my butt at some point.
Exactly.
Where is it? I gotta find it.
And so I saw this photo after we'd been talking back and forth on Twitter about stripping, and I was like, one of those, is he joking or not moments. Oh, and here's the color version. Okay, it's more like a pink bandana.
It's more like a pink bandana.
I feel like we need to describe for people who are just listening and not watching. So
there's never a dull moment in the Bowen household.
Never, never a dull moment at the AfterBuzz studios
either.
Lots
right,
of fun
exactly.
here.
I should have just come like that and just stayed in. We'll have to do one of those. I'll have to come. I'll have to figure out his name, and you know, we'll let the audience find out what's his name, what he does, and I'll take the pieces and I'll come back. I think the shirt too. We had this shirt.
We have
like a box of cosplay stuff because, you know, I've been an actor over the years. You just collect things, and the kids like dressing up and all that stuff more when they were younger. Now they're like,
now
Dad, don't wear that and come out with us. And so I was like, oh, let me just post, because they'd be like, okay, I gotta go to an 80s thing or it's a 70s dance, and I'll be like, hey, go into the garage and come out with a whole display of crazy shit. So.
Definitely interviewing this guy next time.
Yes. So we'll figure out who he is and he can show up.
I am also disappointed that you didn't bring something to juggle, since you juggle.
Yeah.
And I am like such a big kid and I love stuff like that. Yes. So if the stripper could juggle next time.
Yeah, definitely. It's like stupid actor tricks. That's what happens. We have so much free time that we don't, like, we're like, what are we doing? We're hanging out on set, and so we just start messing around with stuff. So like,
do you do magic?
No. But I'm like saying you do stuff like I learned how to do that.
Wait, is this your credit card? Don't put your credit card up on camera.
No, you can't. Nobody can see it.
You never know. I feel like I need to protect you.
I'm making some money today.
That's like Andrew's about to put up his home phone number and address. Like, no one will notice.
It's my Sam's Club card.
Nice.
But like you sit around like, I learned how to do that, which is nothing. It's dumb, but it's cool when you hand somebody a business card or matches, and you can just do some.
And for anyone who's listening and not watching, he's doing like a twirly thing.
Stupid actor tricks. I'm sorry. Stupid actor tricks.
So if anyone else wants more stupid actor tricks, they want to find out about Poe, they want to find out about 7/16, where can everyone find you? I
am on Twitter and Instagram at Andrew S. Bowen, like Andrews Bowen, and I'm on Snapchat as Mr. Bowen. I think I gotta find out what my Snapchat is. My Snapchat name.
You can tweet out your Snapchat name.
Facebook.
We'll do that. We've got you covered.
If you just look me up, you should be able to find me. So yes, you can find out all that stuff. With the 7/16, this is something that's going to be this really fun kind of journey. So you can also follow that at the716th.com on both Twitter and Instagram. And also Poe, you can follow Poe, which is at A Boy Called Poe. And I Hate Kids, the movie. There's lots of stuff out there. But that, for me, that's where it is. And I also have a website, which is www.theandrewbowen.com. I know it's so obnoxious. I couldn't get Andrew Bowen. I tried for years, and whoever's got it, it's some like doctor in Sweden, and he won't give it up.
Doctor in Sweden. He's squatting on that name.
That was the only one I could find. But that also has like clips and reels and bios and all sorts of stuff. If you're that bored, you can go and check stuff out there, and that always has links to stuff and little blogs and news stuff. So,
but not that bored. If there are people who are that interested, yes,
and going
because there are fun things there.
Yeah, fun things there. Yes.
Well, thank you. It has been so much fun, and everyone, I am Zoe Hewitt. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @RealZoeHewitt. Until next time, have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.